because I'm going to inform the jury of their power. They deserve to know.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Go ahead, Mr. Brooks, your closing argument, please.
Good afternoon. It's been a long day. First off, I'd just like to start by letting you guys know that it's a lot of information that you guys should be privy to, I believe. And one thing that I believe that you have not been privy to is the truth of your rights and your duties, being the jury. The fact that you and you alone have the power, not well-prepared DAs with well-prepared and clearly rehearsed speeches and exhibits and a lot of theatrics. Frankly, not the judge. You and you alone have the power. You and you alone decide what is truth and what isn't truth. You should be informed that you have the power to nullify any law that you don't agree with.
Objection. Move to strike misstatement.
Sustain.
Objection.
I will strike from the record the last statement made by the defendant. The jury will disregard it.
Which is clearly what I've been saying. I believe that not only is it fair, but it's essential that you be privy to all knowledge, not knowledge that certain people feel that you should hear and shouldn't hear, disguised under the color of law. The fact of the matter is, just like I did with my opening statements, I don't have a well-prepared or rehearsed speech. I didn't look in the mirror and say certain points to myself over and over again to make sure I have them right or anything like that. I've chosen to speak from the heart in my opening statements, and now I'm going to speak from the heart. What you won't hear me do is argue facts. And the reason you won't hear me argue facts is because I believe that it takes away from what should be recognized. The tragedy of this event, it should be recognized. Trying to argue facts of this, facts of that, I'm not going to waste your time doing that. It's a little emotional. I apologize for the long pause. It's hard to keep everything together emotionally. And honestly, I don't believe that I have any more tears left. It's been a hard year. for the families, mostly. And that should not be lost on anyone. It shouldn't be taken away. I said it before and I'll say it again. It's a lot of people that are healing, that are attempting to heal. That opens the door to talk about forgiveness for a little bit. With every healing process, there comes a forgiving process. It's not an easy thing for anyone. What you've been hearing from the prosecution, and not to take anything away from them, but let's call it what it is. You've been hearing a lot of rerun. Same things over and over and over. No different than when you turn on the radio and you first hear that song that you don't like when you first hear it, but they play it so much that eventually you start saying it, the words to yourself before you even realize it. And then you sit and you go, I hate that song. Why am I singing it? That's what's been happening. Rerun. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Attempting to make things stick in your head that simply aren't true. Why do I say, what am I saying? I say, look at the testimony. You know, the thing from the prosecution here has been intent, 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 intent. We all know what's been said. We all know the picture that's been painted. Even the prosecution said themselves. How can you look in somebody's head and say, this is what they intended to do? You know, for a year, I've sat and gone through this. Feeling so powerless. You know, letting other people run with the narratives. Sitting back helpless while other people paint a picture that has zero truth. Zero. I understand about healing myself, tragedy, pain, all that. A lot of it, there's no need to get into. I myself in my own life have had to do a lot of healing. As a man with children myself. I find it hard to believe that anyone who's really had conversations with me, spent time around me, would think for 1 second that this is an intentional act. I've never heard of someone intentionally trying to hurt someone while attempting to blow their horn. While attempting to alert people of their presence. Which brings me to more information that I believe that you should have been privy to. And I'm sure that the prosecution will beg to differ. But the fact of the matter is, the vehicle in question, make and model of 2010, Ford Escape. The vehicle in question, actually 2008, 2009, and 2010 of that model was in fact recalled.
Objection, misstatement of the facts, facts not in evidence.
Was in
Improper
fact-
argument, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was in fact recalled. Was in fact a class action lawsuit against Ford
Objection,
for those
facts not in
models,
evidence,
for
Your
those
Honor.
model vehicles.
Sustained. The jury will disregard.
Information that you should have been privy to, that you weren't allowed to be privy to. Why? I don't know. That information, malfunctioning throttle bodies,
Mr. Brooks, move out.
it's information that you should have been privy to. Vehicles that malfunction and accelerate not being able to be stopped.
Objection, that is
It's
completely
information-
inaccurate,
it's
Your Honor.
information-
There's an objection. Hold on.
Strike.
Go ahead.
Move to strike statements by
Sorry
Mr.
for the
Brooks.
interruption.
They are facts not in evidence, Your Honor, and it's a complete misstatement.
Sustained. Strike
How's it a
the-
misstatement when I have the information?
Mr. Brooks, move on.
This is information that I feel like you needed to know. You should have known. Information that was taken away from you. Why? To prove a case? Information that you definitely should have been privy to. DA says the defendant has an utter disregard for human life. Utter disregard for human life. Not realizing that they're talking about someone that has children. Talking about someone that watched their children come out of the womb and be born into this world, cut the umbilical cord, held them before their mom even did. Moments that I'll never forget. And yet they say disregard, utter disregard for human life. They made reference to a rage, as if they were, or if this particular DA was right there, standing right there, as if this DA is a psychiatrist. I said to myself, what rage? What do you mean rage? How can you characterize that? How can you have the audacity to diagnose what someone's brain is, where it's at, what it's thinking, why it thinks the way it does.